Mesmer was the first album that I wrote in a completely different, DAW. I used Ableton, and it's a lot of people use it for like DJ and electronic music and stuff like that. But I got onto it because Milo was using it to make music, and he said that I should try it. And when I did, I was really surprised at how sort of intuitive it was, and how I had all of these musical tools at my disposal. Things like writing a bass line, but then taking the MIDI from it and just putting on a completely different instrument, and then thinking that that's cooler than anything I've written today, and just completely scrapping all that stuff and writing a new song around this thing. And I just don't think that I hadn't done anything like that before. So all of the instrumental stuff was this weird hybrid of like old Northlane and new Northlane and electronic stuff. And Josh and Marcus would be working on things, and then for the first time ever send them to my computer like while I'm still writing things, and then being able to just move things around. We'd never done that before.
I think Johnny has been very precious with his instrumentals and his music, but not precious, but he likes to hone in on it and just make sure it's right before he shows everyone.
We never changed the musical component of a song to suit the vocals.
Yeah,
which is something that happened in a lot of songs that were vocally focused. We changed other stuff around to suit that, rather than just trying to throw something on top of the musical arrangement. When we started writing for Mesmer, we had a clear direction of how we wanted it to sound and how, Marcus was going to perform on it. And I think he exceeded those expectations, because some of the things he did on this record is stuff that we didn't think he was capable of. But writing with him was different because he was so much more comfortable this time around that he became a lot more involved in
naturally.
And naturally, creatively, we learned how to mesh together and share our ideas, and he no longer felt like he was stepping on anyone's toes, and he had the confidence to kind of use his voice how he saw fit, rather than try and follow precedent.
I guess a lot of the ideas I have in my head, I think in the past I've been very tentative to kind of share them with the guys, and I guess more so just because of the different background I might have had in different bands.
We also gave ourselves the freedom this time around to write about more personal issues, and Marcus did that on the songs he wrote on, and so did I on a couple of mine, and whether it was intentional or not, one of the things that I had to deal with and he also had to deal with, maybe not so recently for him, but something that still affects him, and something that happened a few times to me recently was loss and dealing with grief, and whether it was our intention or not, that was the theme that came up quite a bit.
When it came to writing Fade and Heart Machine, those two songs I guess were very personal songs to me, and kind of painful songs to me. Fade is about me coming to terms with the loss of my dad, which is something I've always found very, very hard to touch on and to be honest about. I've always found it really hard to do that, and we spent 2 days prior to actually recording the vocals of that, just talking about just talking about it. In the end, it was very just therapeutic, I guess. I think it just brought it all out of me when I got into the booth. It's tough, but in the end, it's something that needed to be done, and we got the best result we could out of it. And it's also kind of helped me a lot with coming to terms with all that. So So yeah, it was very important, I think.
We were looking at a couple of producers. We weren't really too sure until John and our manager Luke got on the phone with a couple of these guys. Then instead of trying to sell himself to us, what David did was instantly start criticising where we were at and what we thought we were doing. And that's what we needed. We needed someone who was going to challenge us and push us to write the best record we could.
He was really into like the song, like the idea of the song, which I think has been spoken about in other
not put in
releases. But yeah, I mean, he really loves the vocals. He thinks that the vocals are like the most important thing, which is probably true. It's not true to me, but I can appreciate it, and I like working with it because it's a totally different sort of way of thinking about writing music.
His approach was something completely different for us.
As soon as we got there, like, we all just gelled really, really well with him. He's done some of like my favorite records and worked with some of my favorite bands and stuff, and like he's done Riot. He's worked on Lost in the Sound of Separation, Under Oath, and it's just crazy to be in the same space as someone who's worked with all these crazy people, and he pushes you really, really hard to get the emotion in your vocals and in the meanings of the song out.
Marcus was pushed to the brink with David, and David was brutally honest to me about the stuff I'd written, and brutally honest with Marcus about his vocal performance. Like he's not the kind of producer that will like let a vocalist get away with a less than stellar performance and then tune the shit out of it to make it, listenable, because he understands that the most important thing conveyed through the voice is emotion, and the moment you start treating vocals like an instrument, you lose that.
There was actually one moment for me, it was like one of the last sort of vocal things he was doing. There was some screaming stuff that he did that I'd never heard before. I remember listening to Render, I think is the song he was doing, and he pulled this gnarly fucking low vocal out of nowhere.
The first time we listened to these songs, how much emotion I could hear conveyed through his voice was like,
he was, again,
really,
being comfortable says a lot.
He's comfortable enough to tell a story, which is something that not everyone does.
I learned so much from Bennett, from just him, I guess, trying to reveal the emotion through the vocals, and I don't know, it was just such a great time, and I feel like a lot more confident in what I'm doing now as well, just because he pushed me to show me what I can do. So it was a really great experience. To come out and play Intuition, I was kind of nervous, but I was also just filled with just a lot of excitement and energy, just because playing a new song is always just fills you up, and it's just it's new, so it's always going to be fresh. But it was also crazy to see the reaction from the crowd when you see a band release a new song and just play it live. It hasn't been released anywhere. It's not necessarily that the fans don't like it, but they'll just kind of stand and watch and just take it in. And, oh, this is the new song. This is cool. But as soon as Intuition kicked in and everyone was off their feet, it was insane. It was pretty overwhelming just because I wasn't expecting that. But then it was also well, yeah, let's do it. let's have some fun.
Every time we release a record, we challenge ourselves to never do the same thing that we've done before and come up with a new and interesting way to release music to people. And one of the things that came up for this record was doing some sort of sampler, for lack of a better word, that was like an amalgamation of different kind of feelings that were conveyed through the whole record. And we chose to release it with a visual component because we felt that the most appropriate way to convey what the record was going to be like was to include that, because it is so important to us. John put the music together with stems of arrangements he had from the record, but you made it like a proper effort to even like cross them over into each other and
sort of treat it like its own sort of song, considering things like tempos and keys. There's one actually, it's somewhere in the middle, and it goes from like a really dark sounding thing to this really like, I don't know, like the opposite of that. And it just so happens, even with like this dissonant sort of synths and things, just like melded so well together. And I think that was one of the first things that I did, so I thought it'd be cool to do it. And
something we'd never seen anyone do before, and we just thought it was a really cool way to introduce what the record was going to be about to our fan base.
I like the idea of people like hearing something or seeing something and maybe not necessarily understanding what it is, but just being able to sort of appreciate it for what it is. And I would love to be able to get out of the world of this like super criticized sort of stuff, and for people to just kind of like, if you like it, you listen to it. If you don't, you don't. And that's kind of what this thing is.
We don't want people to know what to expect ever. And by doing a surprise release, I feel like we wanted to be able to just give it to our fans straight away without them, having a chance to build expectations about what they were going to receive. We don't feel like we have anything to prove anymore. We just want to, put our art out into the world, and this was a really cool, exciting way to do it.
I think that what you just said about not really having anything to prove either, I feel like that you can hear that too on this album.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we
That's
weren't
what gave us
scared to do what we wanted, and that really brought the best out of the whole thing.
What gave us the freedom to write about what we wanted to write.
It's been like 4 or 5 months since we've done it, so and the longer we've kind of been sitting with it, the more excited, the more anxious I am to show people and tell people. Even like I've shown some friends, but even still I'm trying to restrict myself from showing them like all of my friends, because it's like, I can't do that. It's really hard though, because I'm just so proud of what we've done, and I just really, really want people to hear it. And yeah, but I'm holding steady. It's close.